Hi again, everybody, and welcome back to Skordle's preseason high school football preview series featuring some of the top high school coaches and teams from around the state. I'm Todd Miller. We're talking Norman North High School football with their head coach, Justin Jones. And Justin, what's the state of the program? I mean, you've been there now 4 years. I think you probably felt like you took a big step forward last year in making the playoffs.
Yeah, really happy with our progress. It's been night and day from year one to through year three, and where we're at now, we're just in a much better place. We've got for our program, we've got 162 kids, that participate in practice this morning. So feel really good about our numbers. Feel good about where we're at as far as our depth. Really from top to bottom, the amount of experience that we're returning, which there's never any substitute for. But, obviously in a tough league and, as much progress as we made, still a long ways to go for us if we're going to contend for a gold ball when, you're going up against the Owaso's Jinx and those guys over there on the east side. And so certainly they set the bar high. We're continuing to chase that, but really happy with the progress of our program. And obviously, I think a lot of excitement for us going into this season.
How much of that excitement is from the fact that you won a postseason game last year? I know you didn't go as far as you would have liked, but you did get some good postseason experience.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a twofold answer. Number one, make the playoffs and then get to beat our, obviously the rival in the playoffs is even better. And the story kind of with that from losing that game at the beginning of the season as a non-district game, having a chance to play that obviously in the opening round was huge. And then, obviously going into that Jinx game where they handled us pretty soundly and went on to win a state championship. I don't know how many teams in the state were going to be able to handle Jinx and the role that they were on. Those guys continue to get better and better last year and certainly deserve to win it.
What do you see as a turning point for teams on the western side of the state to be able to compete with the Owasos, the Unions, the Jinx, soon to be Bixby in 6A?
Well, I think number one is got to be a little bit of a mindset. I mean, we can sit here and talk all day long about the haves and have-nots, what we have, what we don't have, and talking about having a plan versus getting to play them. And I think, I'm going to, kind of brag on a buddy of mine at Edmond Santa Fe. I think Kyle White's done a tremendous job of flipping their mindset. They play against those guys in scrimmages in every chance they get. And obviously it's paid off for him, in his program and being a state finalist. And so I think there's a little bit of that. I think obviously the dynamic in 6A1 since the split in 2014 has taken some people a little while to adapt to. There, 16 teams, it makes it really tough with scheduling. And I think there's a new standard a little bit that's been established. And so, for us to make it that far, and I'm at a program, to be honest with you, in 2016 that was sitting there as a finalist as well. And so I think for us, it's consistency in numbers. It's just sheer number of kids that we've got to try to get out. And so we've got to do a great job of recruiting our schools, within house, obviously. But then, making sure that we're not using or we've got a mindset that we can go beat those guys. And I think that's what we have to establish, and certainly every chance you get to play them, helps out a little bit. And that's really our mentality there. But that's my answer. That I think it's a challenge, but I think it's a good challenge. Obviously, Bixby coming up makes it a whole, I guess, everybody's going to the SEC. We might as well in 6A1 as well. So, but that's really what it becomes. The margin of difference in 6A1 between 8-2 and 2-8 can be, pencil thin. And so, for us, it's about depth. It's about depth and creating depth. And so that's really what our focus has been in our program in trying to climb that mountain.
Justin Jones, the head coach of the Norman North Timberwolves, is our guest here on our preseason coaches interview series. Justin, we talked about how important last year was. How was spring? And I know that you hosted the Skordle 7-on-7 passing drills this past summer. Did this team come back even more focused through the spring and what you did in the summer?
Yeah, obviously 2020 was a challenge, but I think through those challenges there was a lot of growth. I'll be honest with you, we learned how to operate a little bit different and more efficient. I think we, as coaches, we've learned how to use technology, how to meet faster. we've learned some protocols that we'll probably stick with just because they're a little bit better for us overall in long-term health of our athletes. And then I think when you look at that and going into this season, you kind of take the lessons that you learn. We get into spring, and we feel like the restrictions are starting to lessen a little bit. Obviously, I think kids felt a little bit less pressure where they could just focus on being an athlete, coming to practice every day. And same thing, the mental load on a coach, when you look at all the protocols that they have, makes that difficult. And so spring was nice. Obviously, summer, we were back to operating pretty normal. Still have our protocols in place in certain areas, and we're certainly, kind of got those in the bullpen if we have to pull them back out. Should this thing change and Oklahoma kind of changed the way that we operate. But I think for all of us, we're just happy again to be playing football. I think we're happy that we kind of have a better grasp of how we are going to navigate through, even if this pandemic does continue on or get worse. And at the end of the day, I think we've proven through last year that we can do this. And I think our kids are just ecstatic. Our student athletes are ecstatic. Our communities are ecstatic that we're able to get on the football field and play this great game.
You bring up a good point, Justin, because I don't think at any level, especially the high school and the college level, fans understand the sacrifices that these student athletes had to make, the things that they had to give up that are part of their everyday high school experience, in your case, just to be able to go to the field from week to week. Is that right?
Oh yeah, I mean it was unbelievable the things that we had to put not only our assistant coaches through, but just the student athletes every day. They're getting their temperature checked 3 times a day. They're in class if they were, or they're virtual. They're having to navigate that. They're having to navigate keeping their grades up. They had to learn how to advocate for themselves. I mean, there's so many things that they had to deal with. And then when they come over here, we have a large program, and so I've got an assistant coach that has to go out 30 minutes before practice and set cones up every 6 feet so that our guys had a place to stand. And so, it just became a pressure cooker from the standpoint that you're doing all these things, and then there's that what if. I think the difference is this year going into it, we know that we can do those things and still operate and have the right outcome and still be able to play. And so I think that's, I think that's big for us. A little less anxiety, and I want to make sure that that's taken the right way from are we going to be able to play to where we know we can play, we have protocols in place, and we're going to be able to give these students a great experience.
All right, I want to talk about some individuals on offense. A new sheriff in town, new signal caller, Gavin Franks. But you feel very, very confident with the new trigger man this year, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Gavin was really in a neck and neck race with our veteran last year. Obviously we didn't have a spring and a summer last year to compete. And so, Gavin went into that with some games down to our guy, but Gavin competed admirably and did a great job prepping through the year to where he's really slid into the driver's seat this year and really understands our offense. He's 6'4", a little under 220 pounds, runs, like a deer. So really happy with him. He's got a lot of interest from the college coaches too, just kind of had a breakout off season in evaluation. So we're really excited about him. And the good thing for us is we've got another quarterback in the room that's a junior, kind of in his same situation that he was in last year, that's pushing us. And so we feel like at Norman North, we got 2 great quarterbacks. We got 2 guys that can really push, and that other quarterback is Cam Six-Killer. And so it's going to be interesting to see how those guys continue to battle it out. Obviously Gavin has the keys to the car, but, Cam's right there in the passenger seat.
Obviously, you're very comfortable with Franks. You just admitted that. But do you not have the good fortune of bringing him maybe along a little bit slower just because of the McCown kid that is such a good running back?
Yeah, Chapman, I can't say enough about him. Chapman was, a 1,300 plus all-purpose yard kid. Just impacts the game in so many ways for us. And it's just that, he's electric, he's dynamic, and we can do so many different things with him. It certainly takes the pressure off. And Chapman's really kind of that, he's that Swiss Army knife for us, that Swiss Army knife for us that we can move around and kind of figure out what a defense is trying to do and kind of do the opposite thing because he's got that skill set. So, obviously Chap makes us really good. And then at the end of the day, we can line up and hand him the football and he's going to go make something happen.
One thing that'll take a lot of pressure off the new signal caller is your defense being better. Gave up almost 30 points a game a year ago, Justin. You've got a lot of seniors back. You feel like that's going to be a strength this fall?
Yeah, this is the best defensive unit that we're going to put on the field probably in a number of years. at Norman North, or at least in my tenure. These guys, they're veterans. A lot of them have played since sophomore year. So they've just got 10, 20 games under their belts. They understand how to operate. They understand how to prepare. And so what that's allowed us to do is now they're bringing the guys that aren't veterans along, and our schemes becoming a little bit more complex because obviously they're good at what they do. And so, got to stay healthy, but really, really pleased with our defense thus far. And really excited to see what those guys can do against some elite competition this fall.
And what I've been able to tell, the strength of this defense, not only having a lot of seniors back, but lies in the linebacking core with Parham and Bradley. Those guys had over 230 combined tackles last year. How good are they?
Well, Duncan obviously is a Power 5 kid. He's got SEC offers and a number of offers from schools across the United States. He's your prototypical outside linebacker, rush in, 6'4", 225. He's a guy that is just electric. He understands how to play defense and play the game. And then, kind of the opposite for him is Will Bradley, who's our Mike linebacker. And Will is just as tough and tenacious as a football player as I've ever seen. One of our best baseball players here at Norman North too, but that guy will strap it up and throw 185 pounds around all day long. And, that's why he is where he is as far as his statistics. But, those two guys really lead from the middle there in our defense. And, then I think I've also got to mention, Eli Moulton at safety is another big one. And then our nose guard, Josh Caranda, he's 6'3", 325 and just does an incredible job up front for us.
Do you feel like the last 3 years has built you to this point to where you're really, really excited about 2021 with this group?
Yeah, I do. I think for us, going into last year, we felt good. Obviously, the pandemic hits and we feel like, I think we finished 6-4, feel like we should have been an 8-9 win team. I think for us, most of these guys, well, everybody, is essentially back on defense, but even the offensive guys, we feel like we're right there to that breakthrough point. And I really feel like 2021 can be a special season for us, obviously managing injuries and staying with that. But I know for us, 4 years in the program, I mean, these guys are operating at a championship level.
Appreciate the time. We'll be rooting for you this season, Justin.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on today.
Justin Jones, head coach of Norman North, visiting with us here on Skordle's preseason high school football preview shows.